In my dreams, I had a vision and a feeling. Off in the distance, Matty was managing the boundaries, and right next to me was Chief, and we were heading down some unknown path. And as Chief was wont to do, he held my hand within his gentle grasp, and he was telling me, "Come on, let's go, and don't be afraid, and I promise to be by your side." And away we went. Dogs, mountains, mom, skies are blue, dads and tall grass too. Dogs, mountains, dogs. Dogs, mountains, moms, skies are blue, dads and tall grass too. We are mutts, and we're all American. A story told in dog ears. In tribute to parents, and with special gratitude to those who adopt. And with admiration to our best friend, the dog. Chief was my red boy, and he was always loyal. And Chief had spirit about him. He had some fight, and Chief had song. I knew that I wanted a 2-dog household, so I went looking for another dog. During my search, I came across a candidate via the New Hope Cattle Dogs Rescue Group out of Colorado. His name was Chief, and it must have been that dog karma thing, because the Kansas City Chiefs have always been and are my favorite professional football team, and he was named Chief before I became aware of him. So I extended an invitation for Chief to join the pack. He was a rescue from the mountains of New Mexico. Chief was a red Australian cattle dog, although I suspect that he might have had some other distant breed influence in his blood. At around 70 pounds, he was big for a cattle dog. However, the cattle dog influence with him was strong. He had the white mark on top of his head. In Australian cattle dog talk, that mark is called the Bentley. He also had a trait that's a bit harder to find in cattle dogs, the solid spot at the base of his tail. Since I'm in a wheelchair, I thought that a dog with a disability would be able to lead a rather decent life with me, so I kept that in mind during my search. Chief happened to have 3 legs. Yeah, he was disabled. Chief was missing his right front leg. The suspicion was that he was hit by a vehicle sometime in his earlier life. When he became part of the pack, it became readily apparent that 3 legs did not slow him down. He was a very physical dog. When Chief joined the pack, we would walk up to 2 miles a day. On the weekends, Chief could pace me at 20 miles per hour while I was on my ATV. Chief, Matty, and I got into the wilds of the West. He fit in quite well. Chief was an interesting dog, and if Chief could have told his own story, you probably would have liked to put up a seat and had a listen. I'd like to think that people who claim to have dogs as best friends have been lucky enough to believe that they've had something in common with their dog, or a trait that they aspire to. And I've been lucky. And it wasn't necessarily a disability. There have been times in my life, and I have to say Chief's life as well, that you couldn't exactly call us angels. In the overall scheme of things, that was all right, because I believe that we've had angels on our side. Anyway, that's another story for another day. In the story We Are Mutts and We're All American, there are a few more tales to tell about Matty and Chief, so stay tuned. And speaking of another tale, or maybe it's better put as singing of another tale, soon after Chief joined the pack, a fun routine started. I guess you could say that Chief taught me how to sing with the dogs. About a mile away is the fire department, and whenever the fire department responded to a call, we could hear the sirens. So when Chief would hear a fire truck or an ambulance, he started to sing, and he could carry a tune. Here, take a listen. Oh! That was a recent recording. When he was young, his voice would carry with quite a bit of strength. Every now and again, Matty could carry a tune, but for her, singing was more or less barking. After a short bit of time, I taught Maddie and Chief to sing on command. When I would get it started, Maddie would start to bark. Then our best songs occurred when Chief took over with strong voice. I ended up calling our trio Maddie and the Boys. We would sing each morning before we'd get out of bed. Here, take a listen to a morning song. It may sound strange to some, but it was a great way to start each day, and each morning brought a smile to my face. For each time we sang, for a brief moment, this old man thought he was a young boy again, and that was good. A couple of years ago, Chief's ability to bound up on the bed by himself started to get harder. I always thought that it'd be his front leg that would begin to give him trouble. However, it was his rear legs and his back that began to give him problems. When he was no longer able to bound up on the bed by himself, I'd give him a hand. He'd put his front leg up on the bed, and then I'd reach around his rear legs and give him a lift up. And then we'd have a good night of sleep, and in the morning we would sing our songs. It was a privilege to have Chief be a part of this story, for he was always loyal, and Chief had spirit about him. He had some fight, and Chief had song. And more than anything, Chief was a best friend. The inspiration for the stories come from family, friends, and my companionship with great dogs that have been a part of my life. During my years on this here earth, I'd like to think that I've acquired some wisdom, and it's time to share. I believe that the pack has spirit, the pack has fight, and the pack has some song. And with such, it's time to tell this American story, with tribute to parents, and with special gratitude for those who adopt, and with admiration for our best friend, the dog. We are mutts, and we're all American. A story told in dog ears.